Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Freestyle TV. Man, I'm so thrilled about that new intro that we have.
I just wanted to say, man, give a little shout out to the person who made that. Who made it?
uh, I think it's some guy called Mike or Daniel. I don't really know. It's it's
Okay.
it's a guy that Lucaso is like kind of protecting because he knows that if we all knew him and had his number, we'd be asking all the time, "Can you do this little edit for me?" So
It's probably because he's getting check prizes for him. That's why.
yeah. I got this from Lucaso. I never talked to the guy. I talked to the guy about something related to the Red Bull Street Style draw. But shout out to whoever made it. Like, thank you so much, and it's super cool. Anyways, Daniel, what's up, man? How's it going?
I'm good, man. I just realized we're almost at the end of the year already. It's been a crazy year. Like since last time we spoke here on Freestyle TV, many things has happened.
Yeah,
We had all the different competitions online, of course, but not just online, also like actual physical competitions, because it's slowly getting back to, to normal, I would say.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe we can go through some of the good stuff that's happened in recent months.
absolutely. Let's talk. Let's start off with the youth competition. It's totally
Yes,
run by the WFFA, and there was I can't remember exactly how many participants, but some hundreds of participants all over the world.
definitely.
What feelings you have about that?
Well, it was like a new thing for not just for me and for you, but for everyone. Because I don't
Yeah,
think, as far as I know, there's never done anything at this scale for the youth. Because we at the WFFA, we were like, all right, we got Red Bull Street Style, but what about the kids? And for their reasons, children under 16 not allowed to participate in tournaments that are sponsored by energy drinks. So at the WFFA, we were like, we got to do something for them. So it was a new thing for us, and I think it was fantastic. I mean,
yeah,
it is still fantastic. I mean, it's not finished yet.
yeah.
I think it's a great experience. We're getting a lot of feedback from the kids, and I'm very happy with the participation. And to be honest, it is the thing that I'm most proud of this year. What about you?
Yeah.
Because it's like
Um,
the future. It's the future. It's the talents. It's the new generation.
yeah, absolutely, and like the attitude that the younglings have had towards the competition,
Yes.
it's very fresh. Like what I've heard that hasn't been too much of any complaining, especially about the results. And
It's not just about the complaining, but they're a little bit more humble. They're more
yeah,
like
yeah.
excited and things like that.
Respectful, even if you will, right?
Respectful, I think that's the right word.
Yeah, yeah. But not just that, like how how punctual they have been, right? You have to be punctual when doing the online competition. That you
Mm,
upload on time, you do
yes.
your things on time, and what I've understood that has been outstanding with this competition.
Yeah, they were much better than the adults, to be honest. In
Yeah,
being on time and yeah, just doing it. It's also because they grow up with technology, and I
yeah,
don't think many of them has never been on a stage at all. So for
yeah,
them, the change from stage to online isn't as weird or big as for someone that's been on stage for like 12 years. Like for example, if you take someone as, I don't know, PWG or
yeah,
Shimo. No, they've been doing normal competitions for over a decade. So for
yeah,
them, suddenly changing to online feels weird and awkward. But if you're 14 years old, you're like, all right, let's do this. Like they do everything online, so why shouldn't
yeah, yeah,
competitions be online? So it's
yeah,
a no brainer really for them.
yeah, yeah. You're right. Um, so to update the viewers on where the youth competition is at now, so it started off with the regular uh, qualifier, right?
Qualification.
Qualification round. So the top 16 and top six boys and top 16 girls proceeded to the online battles. And now the first battles have been played, right? So we have the top 8
Right.
girls and top 8 boys. So I think it's a proper time to talk about the level.
Did you see that Brazilian guy? He started off his combo with the two PATVs. That
Yeah,
was insane. That was insane.
yeah. And when I saw the ranking, so you and me, we were talking that Marco from
Yes,
France was in
yes,
top 16 in this year's Super Bowl.
yes,
So I was like, oh, that guy was sick. Like I went to see his Instagram, and I'm
yes.
like that is world level freestyle, okay? So then I get the ranking. He was
Third
third,
place. Yes,
and
yes.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay. So what is this?
yeah. So he wasn't even the best. Yeah. But not just the
Yeah,
boys. The girls were insane as well. Did you see Becca from the UK?
Becca,
Unbelievable. Yeah.
like Becca. She went against Finnish freestyler. Let's go, Finnish freestyler,
Yes.
Emmy. But Becca is like, you remember? I remember when I saw Becca for the first time in Super
Yes.
Bowl. This young girl competing with these women that have won world championships and whatever.
Yes.
And at first I was like, oh, poor girl. Like she doesn't know what's the deal. And
No.
then out of nowhere she did Magellan, and I'm like,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
So
the first year at Super Bowl, she was literally 12 or 13. Eh?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. And
That's 3 years
now
ago.
that's couple years have passed. She's like developed like beyond what I was expecting. She's so good right now. Her level of lowers at that age, I can only imagine what it's going to be like in 5 years. She'll be in the same lower circles with Lucas and all that.
Yeah. No, really. Yeah. It's great, man. I mean, it's lovely.
Yeah,
I love it. Love it.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm very curious who's going to win it, actually, both for the boys and the girls. So,
Yeah. It'll get really exciting soon. Like now we're at top 8, and then we'll get to the medal battles, if you will. But then
yes.
there's been another huge competition going on, and let's talk about it next. So before we bring in our first guest and we dive into the topic of this Freestyle TV, we should do a little quick catch up on Red Bull Street Style, because now we
Yes.
know who are going to Valencia.
Yes. And we have actually one of our competitors today on the show, Patrick Shaw. So he can tell us all about it a bit later on.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, it's been a hell of a ride. Excuse my French, but it was 6 months of qualifiers. We had I don't know the exact number, but it was more than 2,000 participants together for the men and the women.
yeah,
Because the thing is, like, we've been through COVID for the last 2 years, and it's been weird year. So we didn't really know where's Freestyle at, who's going to participate, how happy are people that this is an online competition. Because if we said it before, online, offline, what are we doing? Is it
yeah,
fun? Is it good? Is it, it was difficult for everyone. It's hard to tell.
yeah,
But I think it's been great, man. We've seen great battles.
yeah,
We had qualifications. I don't know how many countries. I lost track, like 40, 50, something like that, maybe.
yeah. 50 something, I think.
Yeah, so
A lot,
50,
yeah,
50 national winners. And then
yeah,
we had this rest of the world competition, which was
yeah,
also a completely new thing. So,
yeah.
no, I had great fun.
Yeah, and especially the battle pools like produced some very entertaining battles,
Yes.
such as the Melody Leah, right?
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah, Melody against
Yeah,
Seyda.
yeah, and then also PWG against Velo.
You know what? No, yes, but you know what my favorite one was? Was
Yeah.
Nurs from Kazakhstan against Tristan from France.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. I probably not. I can see your face. You haven't seen it, but it was amazing. Yeah. This battle
Yeah.
you really have to watch. And if you want to watch the battles, you can just go to the rebelstreetstyle.com, click on battle pools, and then you can watch everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very strong recommendation to tonight when you're like in bed or wherever. You're like, oh, what should I watch from Netflix? I've already seen Squid Game. Remember this? There's a ton of good battles on redbullstreetstyle.com.
Nice, nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice.
But
Yes.
anyways, I mean, the battle pools are over. So top 16 men, top 8 women are going to Valencia. Was there any surprises in those battle pools, do you think? Or in the people who
Um,
went to the finals?
yeah, I mean, surprises, surprises. The one that I've mentioned, I mean, the fact that Tristan from France beat the Nurse and he
Yeah.
went to top 16, that was kind of a 50-50 situation. But
Yeah.
the real upset was, of course, that Alvaro from Spain did not qualify.
Yeah.
He's from the home country. He qualified for the last 3 world finals. So yeah, the fact that he did not qualify yeah, was a
Yeah.
surprise, and I think both to him and to us. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't spoken to him, but he must be upset because he wanted to go all in, I guess, in his
Yeah.
home country. So yeah,
Yeah, and it's a kind of pity that now
yes,
there is not like the home representative in Red Bull Street Style, because it was mental in Warsaw when Agushka and
oh man,
Kalaputa were battling. That
love
was
it.
those was the most electric battles I've ever seen, and
Yes,
I believe this Red Bull Street Style final will be, somehow I'm feeling it'll be special. But the level, nevertheless, is super high.
yes,
But okay, so that's where we are at. Top 8 is going on in the youth tournament, and everything's ready for the world finals in November in Valencia with Red Bull Street Style. Just a quick shout out to Morocco. Sufyan is setting up a
oh yeah,
live tournament there this weekend, and he messaged me, and I believe he got some sort of support. So they're setting up a live competition, and I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with. But do you think it would be time to bring in our first guest and dive into the topic, which is the North American freestyle?
yes,
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have one of the first freestylers, if not the first freestyler on the planet Earth, and that would be Mr. Steve Elias. Hey Steve, what's good, man? Welcome to the
what's
show.
What's up? What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. So it's like in our normal life we talk so much, but unfortunately not so much about your fantastic freestyle career. So you're from Canada, right? You live in Toronto. Have you
Yeah,
lived there like all your life, or what's the deal?
yeah. I lived here most of my life. For 2 years, once I finished high school, I moved to Florida in Tampa Bay, and I was there for about a year and a half, and then I came back home. But besides that, I've been in Canada all my life.
Yeah, you
so,
got permanent tan in Tampa Bay.
nice, nice. So
I was pretty dark, man. I was pretty dark.
Steve, I'm wondering, yeah, how was little Steve like in like high school? Were you like the cool kid? Were you the funny kid? Like, how were you like in school?
Yeah, I was liked by most people, because I'm just, me. I'm easygoing. I
Yes,
try and make things simple and don't like confrontation. So I got along with most people. I played all the sports, so I did wrestling, volleyball, soccer, track. So I was very athletic. So it allowed me to, get to know more people within the school. So, and I had a lot of different groups of friends, and of course, I was freestyling back then, but people didn't
nice.
know what was going on back then. They're like, "What's this guy doing?" So that was
So
a
so
different story.
is like performing and being on stage. Is that a thing that comes natural to you, or is that more something that you learn throughout the years? Because that's kind of different for some people.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Like, I was actually a really shy kid growing up. Um, I wasn't outgoing at all. I was a little bit nervous, and to speak in front of people or do anything in front of people, I wasn't the guy putting his hand up for sure. But with freestyle, freestyle is pretty interesting because it challenges you in many different ways, not just with the tricks itself. So not only physically, but also mentally and even emotionally. So starting to do freestyle, people started to watch me, kind of put me in the spotlight. And then I had no choice at that point but to then, be outgoing and interact with people. So the cool thing is that the shy kid ended up becoming this guy who later on down the road was doing motivational speeches for groups of people using freestyle as a tool. So it's pretty cool how things progressed.
Nice. So I asked this like long ago from you, but how did you exactly like pick up freestyle and when?
Oh man, it was a long time ago. So the first trick that I did was in 1979. It was I used to, when I was a kid, I used to go to my uncle's house and I used to play in the backyard, kick around the ball. I'm talking when I was like 4 or 5 years old. And his son, who was a little older, my cousin, he played soccer or football, and this guy showed me a trick. It's a real old school trick. It's where you have the ball and you bring both your feet together. And the ball pops up. So I learned that was the first trick that I did in 1979, and I think I was 7 years old. So I was like kind of inspired by it, even though it was a really simple trick. It kind of inspired me, and I feel like I've always had the creativity in my blood anyways. So as a kid, I attached to the ball and I started trying to do different things. In 1982, I was playing basketball at school, and what happened was the basketball bounced, and I caught it in a hamstring, totally accidental.
Like this, like with your leg, yeah.
Exactly, the back of my leg and the hamstring catch there. And it was accidental with a basketball, but then I was like, what? Wait, I wonder if I could do this with a soccer ball. So truthfully, I started doing freestyle accidentally because I was just creative and I loved playing football. I loved it. I was passionate, or soccer. And then, these little things just started progressing and I started to get creative and try different things. Of course, I saw the Maradona video of him juggling and doing a head stall and, more controlled moves.
Yeah.
So that kind of inspired me as well. And then it was just up to your imagination at that point, right? So
yeah,
I kept trying different things over time.
But you never had a certain other person that you were inspired by besides Maradona, for example? No, an actual juggler or whatever, like.
No, because you got to remember, back then there was no internet, no cell phones or anything. So the communication and information was very limited. You might watch something on your black and white TV. You had like 3 channels or something. So it's not like today where you can just click online and be inspired by so many different athletes or art forms, right?
Yes.
It was just me in my backyard with my imagination and a ball. And again, my cousin showing me that first move and the accidental hamstring catch kind of got me thinking. So that's how it started for me.
I have another question, man. I think you told me this story a while ago back as well, but it's really interesting for the people that didn't you organize a competition, a freestyle competition way back? That must have been the first ever freestyle competition.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. That's right. So what happened was I was at my house cleaning up some old boxes and stuff. And I found a stack of paper with about 150 registered applicants. So in 1997, I ran a freestyle competition in Toronto at this soccer convention. And we had 150 kids register. And I got to show you this one day. It's pretty cool. So it explains the rules of the competition and then all the categories of where you get scored on. And then you could score out of 10. So basically we gave the kids 1 minute. They come up, they just juggle whatever they want. And then we would just score them out of 10.
And do you remember what it was called? What was it called?
It was just called like freestyle soccer competition.
So it was So it was freestyle soccer already, freestyle.
Oh yeah. So in 1998, I registered the freestylesoccer.com. So in the 90s, I was already calling it freestyle soccer, and people are like, "What's freestyle soccer?" And I was like, "Well, it's doing tricks with a ball, kind of, you know. So for the most part of my career, it was about educating people on the sport as opposed to trying to promote myself, for example, right?
So this is maybe a bit of a hot topic, but by the way, someone's cracking his microphone. Is that you, Steve? Doesn't matter. Anyway, so do you think Nike Freestyle campaign?
Sorry, is that better?
Yeah. So Nike Freestyle campaign, you think they took that from you because you came with the World Freestyle Soccer?
Maybe.
Because that was directly after.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Nike Freestyle campaign started, I think, in 2000 or 2001.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it came from me because the information out there was limited. Though,
Okay.
I can tell you this, in 1998, our website, we had one video of us doing tricks. We were getting about 4,000 unique visitors a day from 150 countries to watch that one video.
I was one of them, so for sure I was one of them.
That's funny.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was 6 years old, and I didn't even know what computer was at that age. But
because I saw your video on the Nike website. So.
Oh yeah, that
when you were ranked #1 there on the top 5 there.
Yeah, that's right. They had Nike had the showdown where you could upload a 30-second video, and then it would be showed on NikeFootball.com, and then people could go on and actually vote for which video they thought was the best. And luckily for me, I held that #1 spot for 3 consecutive years. So to the point where it said Steve Elias Canada, and then Nike, after I think a couple years, they changed it from Steve Elias to USA because they're like, Canadian can't have this much skill. So they changed it. I became American.
That's nasty, actually.
But you couldn't do anything because they had the rights to edit the video as they wished. That was one of the clauses when you submitted your video. So I just had to become American at that point, which was cool, so.
And the funny thing is, sorry, one more thing. You actually got to semifinals this year at Red Bull Freestyle in Canada.
Who? Oh yeah.
You.
Yeah, so I competed. That's right.
Yeah, you did.
I competed, and I made it to the semis, and I lost. I can't remember who I lost to, but really what ended up happening is the last set, I didn't upload my last set. I just don't think it would be right I don't think I would win the Canadians, but if I did, I just don't think it would be right winning the Canadians and being part of the WFFA. Just something doesn't seem right there.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But that leads me perfectly to the next question, and it's really interesting for us. The Canadian freestyle scene, like Canada, is unbelievably big, huge country, right? And you have like Bruno Magnet, for example, a great freestyler. But how is the state of freestyle in Canada right now? How do you think?
You know, it's not bad. I think the biggest challenge, like you said, was the fact that the country is so large, right? Like, there's freestylers in Montreal, there's freestylers in Toronto, there's freestylers in Vancouver. Now, just to give you an idea, Vancouver to Toronto is a 5-hour flight.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. It's like $800 or something. So it's not to fly for cheap.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge because it's hard to get, like if you have a meet, it's hard to get everyone together.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, because Canada is so large, each province is their own country when it comes to freestyle. It's like, okay, well, in British Columbia, they have their meet, you know, and you have your meet in Quebec. So, but it is growing. And I know the guys, for example, in Toronto, I know they get together all the time and kick around. And Magnet heads up the Canadian freestyle scene there. So he's leading that, which is great to see him kind of like grab the bull by the horns and try and build the sport in Canada.
Yeah. So, well, it's good that there's freestylers in Canada, but like you've been freestyling basically forever. I mean, even the sport itself existed, if you will. So, so you've seen the development, but of the sport globally. But what about in Canada? Like, when did you like realize that like this scene is growing. Like there's starting to be new freestylers. Like these people are doing the same thing as I started doing way back.
Yeah, so I being, you know, one of the pioneers in freestyle and starting so early, in 1999, I started Freestyle Soccer Inc., which was a freestyle agency, if you will.
Yeah.
And we started doing events, and I started um, scouting for new talent. And like I said, initially for me, it was all about promoting the sport because people didn't know what it was. So I was constantly saying, this is what freestyle soccer is, and always trying to explain to people. So eventually over time, I would say probably around 2006, I started to see more and more talent come up. Like at Avalos, if you remember Jose Avalos, he was a young 14-year-old kid, but he had amazing skill. So what would happen is soccer clubs would call me and they'd be like, hey, I just want to let you know we have a couple kids in our club that are really good at juggling and doing tricks. Maybe you should check them out. So by people contacting me, it then allowed me to go and connect with these young talents and then try and build the sport and build their ability to freestyle. And as you know, like a guy like Avalos, you know, I think he went to Red Bull Street Style quite a few times representing Canada. And he was a pretty amazing freestyler at the time. And he still is, but obviously he fell off the scene a little bit. But
okay, I mean that's miraculous that you have so much clout, if you will, that the clubs contacted you to like take care of the freestylers in their club, right?
Well, it was all new back then, right? Like, I mean, that was in 2000, 2003, 2004. Freestyle, like again, with Nike's event, I think I was really happy when they did that because it helped put freestyle on the map and kind of give it a little bit of a boost. And then, of course, people saw that. Everyone was watching it. And that really helped, I think, kickstart the sport a little bit. So
I think maybe one of the last subjects before we go to the next guest. Can you tell us a little bit about your brand, Swell Represent?
Oh yeah, I got this. You can't really see it, but
when did you start it? What was the idea behind it? You know,
so Swirl is it's named after a trick that I created in 1990. You know, some of you may know where you grip the ball in a foot stall, swing your leg behind you, release the ball, and then it comes back over in front of you. So that's been it's been 31 years since I created that move. That's crazy. But so I knew that with the progression and development of freestyle football or freestyle soccer as it was growing, you know, things evolve, and then you need to have brands, you need to have different things that kind of cater to the sport. So in 2009, I created Swirl as a brand that would then support the sport and providing apparel and different gear and things like that for freestylers who you know, want to be comfortable and be able to do tricks. The cool thing about Swirl is that we've been there since day one, and I have to say that we've supported and sponsored so many competitions within the sport, whether it's competitions in Poland or Asia or Europe or even across North America and Latin America. We've always been there, and it's a brand that's really about supporting the community, providing good quality products that's going to help freestylers feel comfortable in what they're trying to accomplish.
Nice.
And then overall, just being there, because it's good to have brands and different things like that to help build our sport.
Man, I'm in love with these shoes, man.
Yeah, oh, you like the kicks? That's awesome.
I love it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, same here.
It took a while to get them. It took a while because I got rocked with COVID because the factory shut down when we were in the final stages. But, you know, I didn't give up, and I went back on it and started grinding again. I lost a lot of money, but, you know, money's money, man. But when you come out with a good product and you don't give up on things, you can't even put a dollar figure on that, right? It's all about, you know, believing in yourself and trying to achieve something. So.
Yeah, so I have two things about Swirl. I've told you this many times, but I remember when I met you first time, because I'm really, well, not really deep, but I'm pretty familiar with the footback scene. And footback has been there even before you started freestyle. Like in the 70s, they were doing footback. And they have a trick called Swirl, and that is what we call like the Clipper ATV, right? and
Right.
then your swirl for them is pendulum. So
Yeah.
I was so certain that because there's so many footback players in Canada, especially. So I was certain that you got it from footback because the trick name is so cool. But it turned out that you just didn't know anything.
No, that's good. Man.
Yeah,
I like it.
it's funny because obviously my freestyle is a little bit a lot different, not a lot different, but it's different than the hardcore stuff that you see nowadays.
It's unique.
Yeah, but it's my style, and it's I've been doing the same stuff for like 30 years plus or not longer. So, but there's a lot of moves that I created. I remember in my backyard that today I'm starting to see freestylers do.
Yeah.
Which is cool because you would think that a move created 30 years ago probably would have been played out by now, but
Yes.
they're just starting to get incorporated into the freestyle scene. So
Yeah.
maybe by the time I'm 65, all my tricks will be incorporated into the scene. We'll see.
Yeah. I want to
Nice.
I want to be with you and Daniel in a tournament, because always Daniel is like, I created that trick and that, and then you're like, you're on the other side, I created that trick.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna have hopefully next year. I'm gonna be 50 next year, and I was hoping to have a Swirl Legends battle. So you get everyone that's over 40, all the legends, Pallies of the world, if we can get them out, all those guys, and see if we can have a little friendly competition and crown the world freestyle football legend of freestyle. See what happens, but
That would be
cool.
sick, man.
Yeah, I love the idea, man. I don't meet the criteria, but I'd love to judge or commentate or something. I want to be involved.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. We'll see. Hopefully, I can still walk. Then we'll see what's up.
Okay.
Yes.
But hey, Steve, this has been amazing. Like always, amazing to talk freestyle with you, and we'll catch up with you soon enough again. But thank you very much for joining Freestyle TV and sharing a little insight on your career and freestyle in Canada.
Thanks, I appreciate it. And just so you know, Pege, the intro video that you were talking about, the graphic designer, that was me.
Well,
Yeah,
nice.
right. Yeah, right. Don't take the claim on this wonderful Czech guy who has helped us so many times, man.
I'm part Czech now. I'm part Czech.
Yeah.
All right.
Checkmate.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Man.
Thanks, Steve. Let's be in touch.
You guys are doing a great job, by the way.
Alrighty.
Wow, that was
Nice.
Steve. It's so funny how, like, people don't realize like
No, I
how
have
big
no idea.
part how big part in the history of freestyle Steve has played.
No, and it's part of, I think, us also with these kind of episodes and WFFA, and I'm a freestyler. It's more up to us to educate the people.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I think we should go to the next guest because it looks like Patshaw is almost falling asleep backstage.
Oh, I'm in, man. So, ladies and gentlemen, we discussed Canada. Now we're going to the south neighbor. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Patshaw from United States.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. In terms of you guys, I'm not falling asleep. I'm chilling.
Just kidding, man. I was just more making a reference of also old people always complain about the young guys. They have no concentration.
Really?
They can't focus. You know, with TikTok and Instagram, they're always Well, I was just teasing. Man.
Yep. So, what do you think, Pat? Like, did you hear what Steve was saying? He's been freestyling 30 years. There was no internet when he started, for example.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember when I started freestyle, Swirl was actually the first brand that I saw. Like, before freestyle wasn't a thing. So when I saw him, I was like, I saw him and him starting up a Swirl, and I was always DMing him like, "Yo, like your stuff is so dope." And
Nice,
yeah,
nice.
like honestly, so yes, yeah, it's awesome what he's doing for the community.
So that was actually one of my first questions I wanted to ask. So you were aware of the fact because for example, I get this a lot that people know me from I'm a freestyler, but they have no idea, although the name kind of gave it away, that I'm a freestyler.
Yeah,
And he must have that as well, is because he's he's just fixing stuff, organizing flights, and doing WFA stuff. But you did know, right?
I did. Yeah, I saw. I remember. Yeah, because I saw him. I saw his brand and stuff. Then I was kind of like, okay, I wonder who is behind all this. And I do remember seeing that trick, the swirl, and all that. So yeah, I definitely knew about him before.
Nice.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's been said at any point of this episode yet, but we have another very special guest joining Patshaw to enlighten us about freestyle in US, and that would be Mr. Let me take a step back. That would be the current routine world champion,
Yes.
Mr. Nick Seyda. Let's go. Welcome, Nick.
Hey.
What's up, people? I love this technology.
Yeah, right. It's amazing. So I think what was a little left out is when did you guys exactly start freestyle? Like how long you been freestyling?
You start, bro.
I started around 5 years ago, and it was around this time of year, so almost exactly 5 years ago. And it was at the local professional soccer team stadium, New York Red Bulls, and they have freestylers out front of the games doing pregame shows and then halftime. So I actually saw freestylers live, and then I started talking to them, and they got me into the sport.
So who were they?
It was some local guys in New Jersey. I believe on the team at that time was a guy named Gabe, DJ, Victor.
Those guys, yeah.
Yeah, so those were like the original guys that showed me the sport.
All right, what about you, Pat? When did you start freestyle?
Yeah, I started freestyle about the same time, like 5 years ago. It was like 5 years and 2 months. And I had an exchange student who's a freestyler from Spain, actually. I don't know if you guys know, but Alvaro Obregon. I'm not that good at Spanish.
Yeah, I know him.
But so he stayed with me for a year before I'd even started freestyle. And he could already do like lemons and like stuff like that. And I was like, oh, yo, that's so crazy. Like, I can barely even do like around the world and stuff. And he kind of taught me like the first few months, and then we just progressed throughout that whole year. And then he went back to Spain, and I just kind of like obviously kept on doing it. So that was kind of how I got introduced to it. So
that's cool. I didn't know this story. It's a nice one.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah.
I love asking freestylers, especially like you guys, how did you get on how did you pick up freestyle? Because if I ask my generation, it's usually that they saw some Tuzani video or something like that. It's always the same. But you guys, your involvement started in a more unique way, if you will. But anyways, the whole theme of this this episode is North American freestyle, and I remember I was talking to you, Nick, at Super Bowl. Maybe I wasn't in the best shape, but I was like hyping USA so much. But for a reason, because now we have you as the routine world champion, which is unbelievable achievement. You go to the not to the same level yet as Gautier, but like getting there. Like you are also like Gautier. You are a world champion of routine, and Patshaw. What I saw at the after party, our own after party at Super Bowl. I'm not gonna spoil it. No, don't worry. and that you're in the Red Bull Freestyle World Final. Yeah. It's outstanding achievement. And if 5 years ago someone told me that, again, 5 years from now there will be an American world champion of routine and some guy in the top 16 in Red Bull Freestyle, I would be like, Come on, man. Give me a break. No, never. So what has happened in United States? How is this possible? What happened?
I think it was a close at USA Champs. It was held in New York City for the past few years, except for the most recent one since I was online. I think those were the competitions where people started to form some bonds, where there were the LA guys, they were close. There was the New York City guys, they were close. But then all these other states and places where people lived, there was one or two freestylers here and there, and there wasn't much of a tight-knit community. It was basically LA and New York. But then at these competitions, when everybody around the country started getting together, and with the help of social media, people began to be like, yo, let's stay in touch. Let me stay at your place for a few weeks, this and that. So I think LA and New York communities, that rivalry helped, increase people's level. But then when freestylers from like Maine, for instance, or people in Florida or people in Kansas and random places began to go to these full country competitions and see the level, they were like, oh, I want to start pushing now. And then, people get closer and we start to stay at each other's houses. Like I've gone up to Maine, Pat has come down to New Jersey. So I think it was personal relationships that really started to make things improve. The level started to go up.
Oh, that's a good theory. So it's both competitions and like a community.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time. And would you say like some countries have this typical style that's really representing for their country? Like in Colombia, they all do this, with their hands, and if I see if I see freestyle from Colombia, I always know he's not from Peru, he's from Colombia. Is there such a thing in the US? What's the core of the US freestyle? Like, is there something that you guys all do or something like that?
I don't really think so. Pat, what do you think? I don't think there is.
Yeah, I don't. I would say I would actually say the U.S. is pretty diverse. I would say, like,
I think so too.
Like,
yes.
I don't think we all do. Like, I don't know. Like, we have like a couple guys that do like lower. Like, we had Taz and I do like quite a few lowers, and Alex Mendoza and Kenneth. And then Nick is doing sit downs, and then we got like Caleb and Sammy when they were so freestyling. They were doing like a bunch of sound and creative stuff, and Jordan still. So I would say we're kind of all over the place, to be honest. I don't really think we have like
No, what I do like is that there's, for example, Spinny Vinny and Mendoza always go on with the pancakes. That's a funny pancake war they got going on there.
Yeah. I want to get back a little what you said earlier about how the level came to be, because it makes totally sense, because that kind of thing has happened in Europe. Of course, like the whole Europe is like the size of Texas or whatever. So for Europeans, it's a little easier to get together, even with the neighboring countries. But like that's what has happened here, like since I've been freestyling, and a little way before me also. So I think that's amazing that like the community in US has started to form, like and getting stronger.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So now you had online competition, but for the future, like how does it go? Because it's such a huge country, and I believe there's a lot of opportunities. How do you guys like communicate about the championships and meetings and stuff like that?
It's usually some of the older guys in the community, like Vinny or Frankie or somebody who's been in the community for a long time. They usually pick a place to hold it. So for a while it was in Chicago, USA Champs. Then it was in New York City. And now I don't know where it's going to be. But they usually just try and pick a relatively famous city that everyone can go to not only compete, but also see the city, because it's, a nice city. Miami, Red Bull Street Style, there was a decent amount of USA guys who came just because there was a freestyle competition. We could go there, support Pat, but also look at the city, go explore a little bit. So I think there's no like governing body in the USA right now. Like there's not a few guys that are going to be, organizing it. It's more of like a random people pick up responsibility.
Okay, nice. I actually,
if it works,
I remember in Miami, I was talking a lot with this DC freestyler. Is it?
Oh, was it Francisco? Oh wait, no, Francisco's not in DC. Oh, maybe it was.
No,
I think
You mean
Sam.
DJ? I think you mean.
no. I don't mean Daniel Cutting. I can't
No,
believe
no.
how.
You mean DJ Divine or whatever? You mean him?
No,
Oh,
no.
DJ Divin.
Him. Yeah, he.
Oh,
Well, he's a good lad too. He was there, but
yeah.
Oh,
I think it's DC. He's not like so really awfully lot into freestyle. I mean,
I
Oh,
think it's
Vic.
Dawson.
You mean Vic?
I think it's Dawson. Dawson, like Dash FC.
Dash FC. That's it. Dash
Oh,
FC.
yeah,
Yeah.
Gosh, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
But when I was talking to him, I was like, I was so happy because he felt like a real community guy. He was like, well, we're setting up this tournament in somewhere, I don't even remember where. And like, you should like spread the word around. And I felt like heartwarm, like, man, I want to support these guys because like this is honestly the best thing about freestyle.
Yes, and if I go back to, for example, I think Colombia. I talked about Colombia. It's a good example of a country where the level is super high, but there's zero money to be made. Kind of, you know what I mean? It's the community focused on just going as hard as you can, and this is basically the same for everywhere in Latin America. How is it in the US like? Because, for example, in the UK, there were a few years where there was almost no freestylers because everyone went commercial. They all focused on the stadium shows and things like that. Is there like a balance in between in the US, or how does it work over there?
I would say there's honestly a pretty good balance, to be honest. Like, I actually had a conversation with Spenny Vinny about this, and me personally, and Nick's been in my house, so I'm like in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's really nothing around me. So me, I'm like all training. Like so I'm kind of like that's like me. But I would say like Nick is kind of into a little bit. Well, actually, I'm not gonna speak for Nick, but like I feel like he's like done a great job over the past few years of like doing a little bit of both. Like his social media looks like really nice, and obviously his level is good. And then I would just say like there's like a lot of people like Caitlin in LA, who's doing a little more of the social media type stuff. Same with Sammy. So I would say we're pretty balanced. I wouldn't say we're like too heavy one way or the other. I think we have like a good balance between people.
That's nice. What do you think, Nick? He was mentioning you.
Yeah, I agree with Pat. It also depends on where you live. So like the LA guys and girls, like they have a lot of opportunities there because LA is a city full of opportunities. I live right next to New York City, so there's a lot more opportunities for shows and events and that sort of thing.
Yes, makes sense. And is that also an ambition of yours? Do you want to be a full-time freestyler as a job? Is that something that you want to achieve or do already?
Yeah, so I do quite a lot of shows right now, most of them through New York Red Bulls, since they have a freestyle crew. So it's like 8 of us, and usually it's like 3 or 4 of us. We go to an event that is sponsored by Red Bull or New York Red Bulls, and we freestyle there. So we do quite a lot of events like that, but on a personal level, I want to do more like larger performances when it's almost like routine, but for a specific event. So instead of me going and hanging out for a couple hours and doing tricks with people, it's more of like a stage type of performance.
Yes.
So
more almost circus-ish.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has like it. I think it was maybe before, well, in some occasions at least, it was about this stage show, right? So like let's think of a halftime show. It's like you have limited amount of time, and you do your show and you get out and that's it, right? But now I've also noticed that it's becoming more that you're doing tricks and like high-fiving people and like creating atmosphere. But I agree with you that freestyle should be put to that like 3-4 minute show kind of thing, because that's more worthy. When if you just see it all the time, it lowers the impact, right?
Yeah, it depends on the event, of course. But
yeah, of course. I mean, I root for every opportunity freestylers, like wherever you can get a little cash, go for it. But I especially like you did amazing routine in Super Bowl, so I would enjoy that more than just like, okay, maybe that's not entirely true, but if I was like normal world citizen and I didn't know freestyle, I would like have more impact when I like all the lights are set and like there's some like Jennifer Lopez is like, ladies and gentlemen, meet Seyda, and then
You know,
There's-
shall I tell you a funny story? I performed together with Palle and Palle and Nam and all the old school guys, and directly after us was Beyonce. It was crazy.
Oh, no, that's actually-
First it was us, and then I was like, and then I go to Nam. Oh, for fuck's sake, I really need a beer. And then I see Beyonce coming straight like next to me with like 6 of those big bodyguards coming onto the stage. It was like,
That's so fire. That's so cool.
and I was
But
like,
that's-
hi to Beyonce. Yeah.
that's where I want these guys to go, right?
Yeah.
I had something related to the show business, but I forgot about it. Yeah, now I remember. So okay, what you guys are doing exactly now? Are you like studying, or do you do regular work, or how is your life, normal life outside of freestyle?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually taking a gap year this year, so I'm gonna travel a little bit. I just finished high school this past year. I graduated, and I'm not like I said, like I'm not really in like a city or anything, so I don't really do like shows and stuff for money. And also, like, I personally like don't really want to go down that route. Like, I kind of just like training and I want to win. Like, that's kind of like what I want to do in freestyle. And so this year I'm pretty much just training like every day for like 2 or 3 hours, and then I'm planning on traveling to like Netherlands, obviously Spain. I actually want to visit the Fergulli brothers in Norway, and so for me, I'm just gonna like
Nice.
train this year and stuff, and then start working next year, making money and stuff. So that's what I'm doing. But
What do you want to do for a living? Like working?
I'm actually getting my real estate license this year, and
Okay.
I'm doing a few internships, and so I plan to do real estate as like my job, and then just train like outside of it until my body can't take it anymore.
Nice.
So I'm pretty interested in real estate and like and how that works and everything. So that's what I'm planning on doing as like a career. So yeah.
That's amazing, because often I hear freestylers like, yeah, of course I want to be a professional freestyler and make all my money out of freestyle, but that
Yes.
you're like, you don't care about that so much. You want to be as good of a freestyler as you possibly can. Like, screw the shows, screw all the extra. You just want to like go so much all in as you can.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, because I don't know, like, I just see, like, I've been freestyling for 5 years, and I see how far I've come, and I just know that, like, I can be, like, so good and, like, be a world champion multiple years in a row, and so it's, like, if I just put my focus into that, I'll get there. So it's, like, I don't really want
Nice.
to take my focus away from that, I feel like, just for me personally. Because yeah, like I've seen like what I'm doing behind the scenes and stuff, and I'm like, oh, if I can just work hard and like get to my full potential, I'll be like 3-time world champion, like all this stuff. So I just want to focus on that and not get distracted by anything, like on that
Okay.
trip. So that's
Nice.
it.
And you, Nick?
I'm in high school right now, so I'm a junior. So I have this year and then my senior year. During this time, I still have plenty of time to train and do shows and that sort of thing. So I want to continue to train, and I want to try and do more shows, like you were saying, almost like circus style, where instead of people hiring me to do an event where they want me just to hang out and kick it with people for 3 hours, I'm hired for a 3-minute performance in a theater or something like that. That's one of my goals when it comes to the professional side of freestyle. But after I graduate high school, I'm looking to study clinical psychology. So like the two things I love most are freestyle and clinical psychology. So
Yes.
if it's funny because I'll go from sometimes I'm training, or let's say I'm training like a sit down stall where it's just repetition and I'm bored. I'll put on some psychology lectures that are free online and just be listening to that while I'm training. So
I don't think that's weird, because a lot of it is a mental thing as well. Like, you know what I mean? That like you have to endure, you have to put your mind to it. There's a lot of how do you say psychological? Is that a word? I don't know. Elements to it.
Yeah.
Elements to it. So
there's
I don't
definitely
even think that's
overlap.
weird. Yeah, there's overlap. Exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
And Nick,
yeah.
I have actually one question to you. Like a few years ago, didn't you have like some kind of medical issues that you
Yeah.
had? If you don't
So-
want to talk about it, it's fine. But I'm just curious what happened and how did it affected your life and things like that.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, but there's never been any trace of it in my family. We didn't know there was anything even a risk of that, right? So I was in school, I was playing soccer, I would come home and train, I was completely active. There was nothing physically wrong with me. And then within a month, I lost almost 20 pounds and I was already slim. So losing weight at that point was not good. My mouth started to get sores, it would open up and just be almost like a rash inside my mouth. The back of my ears would start to bleed. It was just all these weird things. And then for that last 2 weeks, it was a very steep decline. For the last 2 weeks, I could barely stay awake. As soon as I sat down for my first class of the day, I was struggling to stay awake. And most of the time that was never a problem.
And then you didn't know what was wrong still.
Yeah, we had no idea what was wrong. So I got blood work, and a day later when the results came back, they brought me to the hospital right away because they were saying your body is shutting down. So I was like, okay, so they knew I was very sick, but they didn't know what it was yet. So I spent a few days in the hospital and they were doing tests and all that sort of things. And they said I had inflammation in my stomach. And after they ran some more tests, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And so even though I was diagnosed and I could go on medication for it, they knew that it never goes away, but it takes a while to get it under control. So for the next few months, I was let out of the hospital, but I was still really sick. I was barely attending school. I could barely do anything physical. I was really rough shape for me. So there were a few months there where I was still sick, but then eventually the medicine started working and now I'm able to do everything I used to do, no problem.
As long as you take the medicine.
Yeah, so every 8 weeks, I take a medicine called Remicade through IV therapy. So I get hooked up to the machine, get my medicine there, and yeah, that medicine was a miracle for me because within, I think it was my second or third dose of it, it just was instant. Within a few weeks, I went from barely being able to move around to having a couple hours of freestyle sessions a day. So.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Yeah.
That's inspiring, man.
Thank you. Yeah, that was what originally got me into psychology, and that really helped my freestyle too because I became really grateful for it.
Yeah.
Because before I play soccer, come home, train, never thought anything about it. But now when I train, I understand there's people who were in my position who still can't train and things like that. So it was a very good reminder for me to be grateful for my health and realize that, I'm very blessed to be where I am.
Nice.
Awesome.
Oh, wow. Wow. Guys, we're running out of so-called, I don't know, there's some word that I always use in Finnish, but I don't know what that's, broadcast time. Broadcast time. We're running out of broadcast time. But this has been an absolute honor to talk with you guys, and like said, USA and North America in general, for people like me from Europe and especially from the North, we're here behind God's back. So it's miraculous to see how USA is evolving. And like I said in Super Bowl, I expect that there will be some Super Bowl kind of thing in US or North America soon enough. And I think the freestyling world deserves it. Like you said, Nick, that people go to different places. They just want to see the cities. I think the freestylers of the world, they deserve that in US. So I look forward to when that's happening.
Definitely.
For sure.
And
one more question for Pat. Pat, do you think you can win Red Bull Freestyle this year?
This year, this year would be a push, but I'll tell you what, I every morning there's a route that I walk around my house, and I just think about, oh, if I battle this person, this is what I'm gonna do. So I have it all planned out. So I think I have a shot. I think I have a shot at making to the final, but I think top 4 is more realistic for this year. For this year at least. But that's what I'm thinking. But we'll see. So yeah.
Time will tell.
Yeah, right. Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Anyways, I can't wait to see you on stage again. Like, I'm super excited, Pat, and Nick Seyda. Also, you can't wait to see our freestyle again, and hopefully sometime in your home ground. But thank you so much, guys, for enlightening us about your freestyle careers and freestyle scene in North America. Thanks to Steve. So Daniel, we're going to wrap it up with you. Wow, what an episode we had, man.
Nice guys, right?
Yeah, like I just love freestylers, man. They're so great and so unique. Like it's like whenever you get in discussion with the freestyler you haven't talked so much with before, it's like you learn something new. Like Patshaw wants to do real estate and push his level to the maximum. And
I think sometimes this is lacking a little bit in freestyle football. We have to get the content more personal, because this is super interesting. He's going to be a real estate agent. You know, we would have never found out. So it's nice.
Anyways, thanks, Daniel. It has been a pleasure to do this Freestyle TV episode with you. Next Freestyle TV episode is coming in 2 weeks.
Yes. We're going to work our way up to Valencia. We're going to do loads of cool stuff. Also with Freestyle, we're probably going to do a few episodes in Valencia.
I think so. I mean,
all the good stuff.
Yeah. So more content is coming up. Please go follow the WFFA. I'm a football freestyler. If you enjoyed my talks, go follow my social, Pege Pirto, WFFA Twitch. Please follow that, and so you'll never miss a freestyle episode or any of the best freestyle actions in the whole world.
Yes.
Amazing, Daniel. Thank you for this episode, and I think it's time to go to sleep.
See you, man.
See you, man.